Hey guys, you're watching Matt the Musketeer, and today, as you can see, I have something pretty different and pretty cool for you guys. I was joined by my good friend Westy, and we were having a couple of games of Battlefield 3 together, and we were having a discussion about our first experiences with the Battlefield series, and how that seems to have changed since release, and the long-term play of Battlefield 3. But I won't say much more, I'm just going to jump straight into the video, but if you guys do want to see more of this kind of stuff, then give us a thumbs up and a like and a comment, it does help out a lot. But in the meantime, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Bad Company 2... even though it's a little, the graphics are a little bit rougher and there's little glitches and hitches with it here and there, I do think I kind of enjoyed Bad Company 2 more than I did Battlefield 3. But I don't know if that's because Bad Company 2 is my first ever Battlefield game, so it's almost like fucking losing your virginity or something. It's like, it's the first
Battlefield
time.
virginity.
Yeah, when you have your little Battlefield cherry pop, but the first time you played it, it was kind of like, it was magical compared to, obviously, the game at the time for me was still Call of Duty. I was like a big Call of Duty 4 kind of guy. I played
Same
that for
here. I played Call of Duty Call of Duty 4 religiously for I think 2 years. I think I just skipped World at War. The only reason I played that was for zombies mode. But I'm exactly the same with Bad Company. When I first played it, because I played a bit of Bad Company and then I fully played Bad Company 2. I only ever really played the campaign of Bad Company #1.
Yeah.
So with Bad Company 2, it's like my first fully fledged Battlefield game. So I got right into it from the beta. When I saw the beta on PSN, I came home from school. I didn't even know it was come out. So I downloaded it straight away and started playing it. And I don't think I ever stopped for about 18 months playing that game.
Yeah.
Even during my GCSE period, I'd be pretending to revise, and really I wasn't. I'd just be playing the game.
Well, see, for me, it came because I'm a little bit older than you. I was in first year of university when Battlefield Bad Company 2 came out. And obviously, I'd played a little bit of Bad Company 1, but I'd never had it. And it was actually my friend he said, I asked him, is it worth getting? And he was like, you might not like it actually, because obviously he knew I was a massive Call of Duty fan. He was like, oh, you might not like it, but I got it anyway. But I didn't have any internet at my halls of residence, so I took it down to my cousin's house, and he had Forza 3 at the time on his Xbox. So we set up both consoles together. And I think I just played it for like 16 hours straight because it was just. I just played Team Deathmatch on Arica Harbour, just sitting on the bank with a Rockstar, just getting the sniper out and being very campy, but just getting those headshots and having to count the dip of the bullet, which is a completely different aspect to Call of Duty. Was mind blowing. I did fall in love with it pretty much straight away.
I mean, with I think the thing that whole defines Bad Company 2, and from now on Battlefield anyway, is the Frostbite engine, because the way you have to think about things, especially in Bad Company 2, with obviously the destruction was so much better than Battlefield 3.
Yeah.
You had to really think about how to play out a map, like with Arica Harbour on Rush. You could take out the first building that had an MCOM in it. So you had to sort of if you were attacking, that was your main priority, just take out that bloody building.
Yeah.
And then it would make you feel good because that's something that you've done. It's the same with when I started playing. I was the same as you. I just went for the recon class, and sitting there with the sniper. When you get your first few headshots, you think, "Oh bloody hell, this is a good game."
Yeah.
Especially when you watch the bullet in your scope going 500 meters across the map, and it's just and it pops them on the head, and you just comes up marksman headshot. You're like, yes.
That was definitely something actually. Like you said, I think everyone probably did the same one for that whole recon stage, and it is an interesting point because now, and I've heard quite a few people mention this, that in Bad Company 2, the recon class, it seemed so much more of a kind of a useful class, because obviously I think a lot of people did the same. They loved recon in Bad Company 2, and then Battlefield 3 came out, and they were all like, right, hopefully I'm just going to be able to have just as much fun with the recon class. But there's so many things that were being stripped away from it that I think a lot of people did the same as me. They played the recon class at first, kind of forced themselves to enjoy it, and then after a while just kind of went back to being like a medic or an assault like an engineer class, because just on Battlefield 3 the recon class is nowhere near comparable as it was in Bad Company 2.
I just think with Battlefield 3, the whole point of the game was they were trying to make it a realistic, futuristic war shooter. That was the idea. It was set a couple of years into the future, and it was supposed to be really realistic. Yeah. And if you look at the recon class they have in Battlefield 3, you have to say it's realistic in the terms of how they wanted it. It's how a reconnaissance sort of soldier should play in a battle. They sit back with a sniper, taking out enemies from a distance away. But that's not what the community really wanted.
Yeah.
What they wanted was a class that they could pick any class and they'd still be influential to how the game actually played. Whereas I think now, if you're like a recon, you have influence, obviously, if you go aggressive, but it's not. It doesn't give you any incentive to go and play the objective anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Because I mean, on Bad Company 2, you had the recon had C4 for a start, so that made you a tank busting piece of kit right there. You could run up, and also it made, like you said earlier on about the objectives, on Arica Harbour, if I was the recon and I was attacking, I could go down to that second encom in the town and just walk around the building, cover it in C4 and just detonate it and take out the building. So, even as a sniper, you could effectively, literally destroy the objectives. But now, obviously, you've not got the C4 anymore. You've not got the sensor ball. You have got that. You've got the Tux little banana thing, but it's just nowhere near as effective.
That's the one thing I miss, is the motion balls. I think that if they bring anything back to the recon class for Battlefield 4, they're going to have to do something, because there's been a big outcry about it. But if they have to bring something back, it's got to be those motion balls, because they were great. Because like you could pick more up off an ammo kit and you could just lob more around, and it helped your team out so much. Because obviously, if you're throwing them around you and you've got a couple of assault guys around you, it helped them out so they could pick those players off relatively quickly.
Yeah, and it was the fact that you didn't have to be in the situation like with the Tux. You have to literally go and run and just put it down exactly where you want it. But the motion balls, part of the fun with them, they were very bouncy. I don't know if you remember that from the game. You could, if you wanted to run in a certain location, you could bounce it off walls to get it to go around corners, and that'd tell you. If you weren't sure if there was an enemy there, you could just ding one off a corner, and it would, it was pretty effective. Obviously, with the Tux, you've got to put yourself right in a line of fire to get that thing on the floor. So.
Yeah, it's a bit more forced. Whereas with the Battlefield, the Bad Company 2 one, it was a bit more of a relaxed class, if you think about it that way, where you had a bit more freedom to do and play the game how you wanted to play, rather than how the devs wanted you to play the game.
Yeah, well, I think that kind of counts for not just the classes, but the game as a whole. I mean, I find Bad Company 2, obviously, the whole premises of Bad Company 2 is it's a bit more of a kind of off the cuff. It's a bit more meant to be a bit more humorous and stuff. But I found Bad Company 2 a little bit more enjoyable to play in terms of it wasn't so serious. Like if there was an open space online and you wanted to run across it, on Bad Company 2 you just run across it and you probably won't get shot. It wasn't as dangerous. But on Battlefield 3, everyone is just constantly hid behind cover, because if you run anywhere, you're going to get pinged instantly. It's that kind of mentality that Bad Company 2 was just a lot more chilled out, and people just ran anywhere and did what they wanted. It was a lot more of a just a chilled out experience, I think, than Battlefield 3.
Sums up the both of them pretty well, where you've got Battlefield's like a grown up. Battlefield 3 is a bit grown up, and it's sort of like learned from what they've had in the past, and it's grown up to be this admittedly amazing game, because it still is a brilliant game. But it's what DICE have come to, they've done, and they've said, right, this is the serious one, and Bad Company is less serious, the one where they were messing around a bit. They could afford to take a few risks. And personally, I actually prefer that one to Battlefield 3.
See, it's interesting, because I agree, but when I played Bad Company, and obviously, the time when they were bringing out all the adverts and the commercials for Battlefield 3, I've never been more excited for a game in my life. I was like, the idea of Bad Company 2, but a serious version, I was like, yeah, because I want it to be more realistic. But now, like you said, looking back at it now, I actually probably do prefer the more chilled out version that's still a little bit humorous and it's not taking itself quite so seriously.
Yeah, I think the whole game in general, just the way that it all played, the way it looked, and the way they marketed it, with even with Vietnam and stuff like that, shoving a flamethrower into it, that really made me laugh when I saw the trailer. I was like, oh my god, a flamethrower! It's so good. And in Battlefield 3, the equivalent is essentially an M320, and you just get so pissed off with that thing.
Exactly.
You get hit with it left, right, and centre. And I just think Bad Company 2 is just so much more relaxed.
And they had the whole thing with Vietnam, with the music, you got in the tanks, and there was epic music playing, classic songs from Vietnam war movies and stuff. It's just things like that you would never find them do in a Battlefield 3 expansion. In Endgame, you wouldn't find them with tanks that you could play the radio on or anything like that. So,
no, you wouldn't find that.
I mean, I still think Vietnam was probably one of the best map packs DICE have ever done, and it is such a shame when because I play on Bad Company now on PC, and no one, or especially on PlayStation 3, no one plays the Vietnam map packs. They're literally just deserted. All of the servers are empty now, which
it sucks. I've got it on Steam, Bad Company 2, and I've got into a couple of Vietnam servers, but they're not on Rush, they're on Conquest, and I find that it's better to play Rush in pretty much any Battlefield game. And I just think that it's such a shame because like the Vietnam setting, that it was so good. They put, and it was a surprise as well because people didn't expect it.
Yeah,
and
there was no real purpose for it really. It just kind of came from nowhere, which was good.
Yeah. And I think that's something that, again, DICE, well, the people that made Battlefield, they missed a beat with Battlefield 3 where they haven't surprised us with anything.
Yeah.
They told us what we were getting, and then when we asked for something, let's say like people wanted the new weapons more than we've got now, they haven't. The only thing they surprised us with was a crossbow, and we thought, oh well, that's all right, but it's not great. And like, even though we're reintroducing capture the flag with Endgame. In my opinion, it probably should have been in there from the start.
Yeah, it's not something you should be. We're
adding in
at the very last DLC of the game. It's kind of should have been there from launch day.
Yeah.
So I know exactly what you mean. It's kind of, and the other thing with Bad Company 2. Now, obviously, this is, you can expect this as companies get bigger anyway. But I missed was the free DLC. I mean, you did actually genuinely feel that buying a game brand new, you were actually genuinely, seriously being rewarded for, paying out that 40 quid for the brand new game and just getting, I mean, how many, was it like 4 map packs? You got about 8, 9 maps in total, maybe 10 maps, all for free. And that at the time, that was one of the selling points that converted me across from Call of Duty, because Call of Duty at the time was, it was Modern Warfare 2 and it was raiding your wallets to get your expansion packs and stuff, and just DICE were just giving you these map packs once every 2 or 3 months just for free.
Yeah, it was brilliant.
It was amazing. And obviously, as DICE got bigger and EA, tried to push Battlefield 3 to be much bigger, everyone knew that the free DLC was a thing of the past. But you could still expect. I still half thought maybe we might get some free guns for free, or dog tags and stuff like that. And whilst we do get dog tags and things,
it's not really what we're looking for.
It's not really quite free map packs like Bad Company 2.
Well, I think we can safely say that we both preferred Bad Company 2 then.
Yeah, massively. It was like we said, Battlefield 3 is the better game, but in terms of memories and experiences, Bad Company 2 definitely comes out top trumps for me.
Definitely.